Hello, my name is Sharon Nelson and I'm a student at Liberty University where I'm earning a Master's in Human and Community Services. Today I'll be presenting my presentation on interpersonal communications for my HSCO 508 course. Slide. Here's my overview. We'll be talking about interpersonal communication, overarching goals, enlarging the conversation, my background, my behavioral blends, barriers, internal and external noise, plan of action, and summary. Slide. So what is interpersonal communication? In communication, the term interpersonal labels the kind of communication that happens when the people involved talk and listen in ways that maximizes the presence of the personal. To get a better concept of interpersonal communication, basically think about inhaling and exhaling. In his book, Bridges and Not Walls, John Stewart uses the term inhaling to highlight perception and listening parts of the communication processes. When you inhale, you are fully processing what the talker is saying. The conversation is not going over your head, nor is it going in one ear or out the other, but you are fully engrossed in what the person is talking about. Stewart refers to exhaling as messages a person gives out, so basically what the person is releasing. Slide. Now, psychologist William C. Schutz developed a systematic approach to understanding interpersonal communication based on interpersonal needs, which can be divided into three categories. Here are the categories. Inclusion is the first one. The need to maintain a satisfactory relationship with others and to have enough involvement and belongingness. 2 is control, associated with the need for influence and power. And lastly, the third is affection, the need of friendship, closeness, and love. Understanding interpersonal needs helps the counselor understand their client's interpersonal behavior, why something may affect one client one way and not affect the other at all. My overarching goals are to provide a safe place for the client to share their feelings, fears, issues, and hopes without bias or judgment. To gain my client's respect and trust by being an open, honest, and informed counselor and supportive counselor. To be an example of Christ's love through my actions and compassion. Slide. Now, in enlarging the conversation, I found one article that changed my perception on how important interpersonal communication really is. And this was the Fierce Conversation article by Susan Scott. Now, in her article, she basically says fierce conversation is not what it sounds like. It's not being mean or to be guarded or to be disrespectful, but it is to have intense, strong, powerful, passionate, eager, and robust conversation. One thing that she says is that fierce conversation emphasizes the importance of being genuinely present and authentic in as many conversations as possible. She also quotes here, perhaps there are very few conversations in between you and what you desire. And that quote in itself changed my whole perspective on a closed mouth doesn't get fed. From now on, I am going to speak my mind. Doesn't mean I'm going to be mean about it, but I'm just going to be direct and I'm going to express how I feel. Slide. Now, a little bit about my background. I'm 37. I am a single African American woman. I currently have no children. I've never been married. I've been the only child for 27 years. At 27, my mother adopted her foster child, who at the time was 2. She is now 12. My father was absentee for most of my life. At the age of 12, he disappeared and I didn't know where he went. However, a year ago, I did find him and we're building a better relationship. I've worked in customer service for 14 years. I am now an administrative assistant at a local community college. I do have a passion for helping. I plan to continue to help as much as I can. I love helping the homeless and I get so much gratification out of helping those men and women. I graduated from Queen's University of Charlotte where I earned a BA, in Human and Community Services as well as a minor in religion. I hope to one day start my own nonprofit where I will continue to help the homeless population as well as men who are offenders who are coming out of jail. Slide. Now, behavior blends are a combination of personality traits that help explain a person's behavior. According to Mel Carbonell, there are 4 distinct personality types known as the DISC, better known as DISC, which helps in understanding how a person thinks and the reason for their behavior. Now, the DISC consists of, right here as we can see, the D stands for active and task-oriented, I is for active and people-oriented, S is passive and people-oriented, and C is passive and task-oriented. Slide. Now, it comes to find out that I'm a C and S blend after taking a test on Uniquely You. And basically what it translates is that I am more reserved than outgoing, one who blends in and doesn't stand out, one who is a peacemaker but is slow to making decisions, and I prefer stability over change. We also took a test on interpersonal communication skills, and that showed me that I'm adaptive when it comes to understanding things from another person's perspective, and that my insightfulness score is a 76. Now, some barriers that I found that hindered me in some conversations was ritualistic or ritual listening. The characters of ritual listening is that the person appears to be listening, but they are preparing their answer or thinking about their own agenda. This can be a barrier for me when someone is talking for a long period of time and I begin to think into what I need to do or think about what I want to say. This can be a problem because you can miss valuable information, especially when you're dealing with a client. You can miss valuable information because you're stuck inside your own head listening or trying to think of what you need to do yourself. A practice is to try mindful listening, which allows one to be fully engaged with the speaker. According to Rebecca Schaffer, the practice of mindful listening, one should remain focused and establish a warm relationship with the other person to try to understand their point of view, accepting the validity of their concerns, whether you agree with them or not. So that's very important. Schaffer also suggests by practicing mindful listening, you are able to see what makes the speaker ticks, how well their body language matches or contradicts what they're saying, and their mood or their energy. So that's very important, especially when it comes to counseling. Another barrier is totaling. Now with totaling, you're defining an individual by their relationship of this specific group. So basically, you're kind of totaling a stereotype and it's almost the same, but it basically reduces the individual to one quality or aspect of their identity. So you're not fully seeing what who this person is. You're just generalizing it to one aspect. Slide. Now the problem with totaling is that the client may become offended. By totaling, we limit our perception of the client also. So that's not good. A good practice is to be mindful and not to generalize people and to see people as unique individuals. Slide. Pool grabbing is another thing that I saw that I had a problem with, and basically it's when the listener steals the conversation from the talker and moves the conversation into another direction. I saw that I had this problem when it comes to people talking for long periods of time. Now this can be a problem with clients because this can cause the client to build a wall and not want to share because they feel that they're not being really heard. So the best practice is to give the client your full attention and not to interrupt. A good thing that you might probably want to practice is using the Peterson's talker listener card so that you can practice when it's time to switch off and hear the other person. Slide. Now, internal and external noise. An internal noise can be hearing what you want to hear, biased listening, personal issues, and an external noise can be the speaker does not speak clearly, the speaker has bad breath or body odor, or there's an uncomfortable environment. These can also be from actual past experiences that can be barriers, and they can be associated with either internal or external noises as well. Slide. The problem with internal or external noise is that a lot of times you miss important details from the client's concern. You can also miss nonverbal cues, which are things that the client doesn't have to necessarily say. The best practices are to move from level 3 and 2 to a level 1. And listed below, we see that the level 3 is listening in spurts, basically coming in and out of the conversation. Level 2 is hearing words but not really listening, like a Charlie Brown womp 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 type listening. And level 1 is the level that we want to get on, where we're doing empathetic listening. My plan of action is, next slide. My plan of action is to become a more effective listener, not to allow the internal or external noise to distract me from giving my full attention to the talker. Pray for guidance from the Holy Spirit before and during counseling sessions, and incorporate spiritual values to healing and counseling when appropriate. Slide. My summary is in here, listed here, what we've went over today. And my next slide will show all of the references as to who I got my information from. I hope you enjoy it, and God bless.